Okay, picture this. You're walking into a room full of total strangers. You know the feeling, right? Your heart's probably beating a little bit faster, your mind is just racing, trying to come up with that absolutely perfect opening line. But here is the jaw-dropping truth of the matter. 93% of human communication is entirely silent. I mean, before you even open your mouth to say a single word, your body has already broadcasted a massive encyclopedia about exactly who you are.
And why does that matter? Well, because within just 7 seconds of stepping foot in that room, everyone inside is already subconsciously evaluating you. They look at you and, without even realizing it, they assign you a role. They're basically asking themselves, okay, is this person a leader, a follower, a friend, or a threat? You might think you're just standing there minding your own business, but you're actually holding this invisible remote control that literally influences the nervous systems of the people around you. And the crazy thing is, most people go their entire lives being read by others without ever learning how to push the buttons on that remote themselves.
So, welcome to this explainer. We're going to dive deep into this masterclass on how to write your own social story. Today, we are totally skipping the basics. We're getting right into the high-level, subconscious hacks that dictate how others perceive us and ultimately react to us. By the end of this, you're not just going to be a better communicator, you are going to completely understand the secret language that governs literally every interaction you have. To get us there, here's the roadmap for today. First, the biology of connection. Second, decoding eyes and feet. Third, mastering space and status. Fourth, spotting hidden microexpressions. And finally, number 5, vocal authority and application. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the biology of connection, mastering isopraxis and mirroring. So, long before human beings ever invented spoken language, we have biology. We have these deep, hardwired urges that drive connection, and you can absolutely leverage them to build massive trust before you even say hello. This all comes down to something called isopraxis. Basically, it's our neurological urge to mimic the behaviors of people we trust and feel aligned with. Think about it. When you're totally engrossed in a conversation with your best friend, you naturally start sitting like they sit, right? But here's the ultimate hack. You can actually reverse engineer this to manufacture trust. It's a technique called cross-mirroring. Now, if you just directly copy someone, like they cross their legs so you immediately cross yours, you're going to look super obvious and weird. Instead, you mirror them across different actions. So if they're speaking at a certain rhythm, you might just subtly tap your finger to that exact same rhythm. It's wild, but you are speaking directly to their subconscious, creating this powerful vibe of alignment, and they won't even consciously know why they feel so incredibly comfortable around you.
Now, there's a really fascinating contrast here between testing if you've actually built that connection and making sure you don't blow your cover. Once you've been doing this subtle mirroring for a bit, how do you know if it's actually working? You use the lead test. It's super simple. Just change your posture, lean back, or, shift your weight. If the other person follows your movement within about 30 seconds, boom, you've gained control. You're now leading the interaction. But, and this is a big but, to get to that point safely, you got to respect the lag rule. Whenever you do mirror someone, you have to wait 10 to 15 seconds before doing it. If you move the exact second they move, yeah, you completely shatter the illusion and just look like a copycat. Timing is literally everything here.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, decoding eyes and feet, reading the honest extremities. We are so incredibly obsessed with looking at people's faces when they talk, but actually the most honest evolutionary signals are constantly leaking out of the absolute top and bottom of the body. Let's start with the feet. From an evolutionary standpoint, our feet are wired to react to danger first. It's that classic fight or flight response. And because we almost never consciously think about what our feet are doing, they are brutally honest. So, I've got a challenge for you. Next time you walk up to two people having a conversation, do not look at their faces. Look straight down at their feet. If they turn their upper bodies to say hi to you, but their feet stay pointed tightly at each other, I guarantee you're interrupting. They don't actually want you there. But if their feet physically open up into a wide V shape when you walk up, you are genuinely welcome to join that circle. It is pretty much a foolproof indicator of true social inclusion. Now, beyond just which way things are pointing, we really need to pay attention to gravity. Have you ever noticed the physical contrast in people when they're happy or excited? Their movements literally defy gravity. It's all upward shifts. Their toes point up, their eyebrows go up, their hand gestures rise into the air. On the flip side, downward shifts like slumping shoulders or a dropping head, those are absolute universal indicators of stress or defeat. So if you're pitching an idea at work or telling a story at a party, watch for those gravity-defying upward movements, because that is the exact moment you know for sure that you've won them over. Okay, let's travel all the way up from the feet to the eyes.
Where you look on someone's face dramatically shifts the entire power dynamic of the conversation. If you want to project absolute, undeniable authority, what we call the alpha power look, I want you to imagine a triangle on their forehead, right above their eyes, and just anchor your gaze right there. It keeps the interaction strictly business and highly authoritative. But let's say you want to build some warmth, a more beta, friendly connection. Just lower your gaze, focus on the triangle formed between their eyes and their mouth. Doing that instantly softens your whole vibe and makes you seem super approachable.
And hey, while you're looking at their eyes, pay really close attention to their blink rate. We all know pupil dilation happens when we see something we like, but let's be real. You can't exactly control your pupils, but you absolutely can control your eyelids. A fast blink rate, we're talking anything over 20 blinks per minute, screams high stress or worse, deception. So the ultimate hack here? Just consciously slow your own blink rate down. When you blink slowly and deliberately while holding eye contact, you instantly appear totally grounded, completely unshakable, and honestly, like the most powerful person in the room.
All right, let's roll into Section 3, Mastering Space and Status, the science of proxemics.
If we want to understand how high-status people physically just sort of own the room, we have to understand proxemics. Basically, this is the super fascinating study of the invisible spatial boundaries that every single one of us subconsciously enforces every single day. We all walk around in these invisible little bubbles, and depending on who you are to us, we grant you access to different layers of that bubble.
We naturally carve our world up into 4 very distinct zones. First, there's the intimate zone. That's 0 to 18 inches, and that space is strictly reserved for partners and very close family. If you breach this uninvited, it triggers massive anxiety. Next out is the personal zone, about 1.5 to 4 feet. That's where we hang out with our friends. Then the social zone, 4 to 12 feet out. That's perfect for networking events or just casual chats at work. And finally, anything beyond 12 feet is the public zone. Understanding these exact boundaries is absolutely crucial, because if you step into someone's personal zone before you've actually earned the status of a friend, their brain will instantly, subconsciously flag you as a threat. How you behave inside these spaces also projects a ton about your status. Just notice the physical contrast out in the world. High-status people, they naturally take up horizontal space. They might drape an arm over an empty chair next to them or stand with their legs slightly spread. They literally own the territory. Low-status or nervous individuals, on the other hand, do something called turtling. They pull their limbs in super tight, cross their ankles, and try to take up the absolute minimum amount of space possible. So if you want to elevate your perceived value right this second, just claim a little bit more horizontal real estate.
And here is a highly practical way to apply this, the 90-degree seating hack. If you walk into a high-stakes negotiation, or honestly even just a tense conversation with your partner, do not sit directly opposite them. Facing someone squarely head-on is subconsciously processed by the human brain as a confrontation pose. It immediately triggers defensiveness. Instead, pull your chair to a 90-degree angle. It's crazy, but it suddenly transforms the whole dynamic from me versus you into us, sitting together, looking out at the problem. It's this tiny shift in geometry that completely changes the psychology of the entire room.
Let's hit Section 4, Spotting Hidden Micro-Expressions, Detecting Emotional Leakage.
Look, people will very often say one thing while feeling something completely different, but their body will almost always betray them through these rapid-fire tells. There are 3 massive red flags you need to watch for. First up, the eye block. If you're pitching something and the person you're talking to rubs their eyelids or closes their eyes for just a fraction of a second longer than a normal blink, they are subconsciously trying to block out what they are hearing. They don't like it. Second is ventral denial. The ventral side is the front of your torso, where all your vital organs live. So if someone suddenly hugs a backpack to their chest, buttons their jacket, or crosses their arms tight, they feel vulnerable, they feel attacked, and they are putting up a literal physical shield. Finally, the nose touch. This one is amazing. It's scientifically known as the Pinocchio effect. When people get nervous or deceptive, blood flow rapidly increases to the face, specifically the nose, which causes a slight tingling or an itch. So if you ask a really tough question and they immediately reach up to scratch or rub their nose, proceed with extreme caution.
And that brings us to Section 5, Vocal Authority and Application, Finishing with Power. So, we've aligned our bodies, we've claimed our space, and we've read their hidden signals. Now you have to use your tonality to cement that authority. The absolutely crucial point here is how you end your sentences. An upward inflection, where your pitch rises at the end of a sentence, makes absolutely everything sound like a question. It signals that you're seeking approval, and honestly, it completely kills your credibility.
Conversely, a downward inflection, where your pitch lowers at the end, signals total finality. It sounds like a statement of undeniable fact. It commands absolute authority. Bottom line, if you want to be taken seriously, drive your pitch down at the period.
And right after you deliver that powerful downward inflected statement, you have to let it land. Enter the 3-second pregnant pause. Most people are completely terrified of silence, right? So they rush to fill the gap with ums and ahs, but high-status communicators know that silence is heavy. When you make a major point, you just stop talking. You wait 3 full seconds, literally just let the silence hang there, just like that. That intentional silence forces the other person's brain to process your words as extremely high-value information.
As we wrap up this masterclass, I want to be super clear about something. These hacks are not about manipulation. They are about awareness. Understanding the hidden language of the subconscious does not make you some evil puppeteer. It simply stops you from being a victim of your own nerves. It allows you to present your absolute best, most authentic self by just removing all that physical friction that usually gets in the way of real human connection.
So, I am leaving you with a 24-hour challenge. Please don't try to memorize all of this at once. Pick just one hack from today's explainer. Maybe it's sitting at that 90-degree angle, or maybe it's just practicing dropping your vocal inflection at the end of a sentence. Take that one single tool, step out into the real world, and test it today. Because now that you hold the invisible remote control, the only question left is, when you walk into a room tomorrow, will you be the one reading the room or the one being read?